Hi all, this is Miss Williams for Humanities 1. Today is Friday, March 20th. Excuse my appearance, I'm quite tired, but we are still going to get into this mini lesson. So please bear with me and ensure that you have your Humanities 1 packet with you. At this time, I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see the PowerPoint. Okay, so we are continuing Unit 5, which the focus is world religion, beliefs, and values. And what I want you to look at right now is just the first page of your packet. It has the target competencies that we'll be focusing on. We have gone over these multiple times in class. The main one I want you to focus on is the second competency, where it says express oneself boldly. By the end of today, you will be able to choose a central message for your product or performance that connects to an important theme, idea, or issue in the world. By the end of Unit 5, we want to see that you are able to show mastery in all 3 of these competencies. And if you would like, please take a minute and read through the competencies. You can pause the video at this time. Awesome, we're gonna get right into the objective for today. So today's objective is students will be able to finalize their list of sources by assembling an annotated bibliography that includes a link to the source, the central message, and why the source is reliable. So let's break this down. The first part of the objective says to finalize your list of sources. Last week, we looked at 2 sources that were provided for you. In addition to that, you should have done your own research and found at least 1 or 2 more sources to use for your world religion. And so you're going to finalize that list of sources, and you're going to do that by assembling or pulling together an annotated bibliography that includes the link to the source, the central message of that source, and why the source is reliable. And we will get deeper into what this all means and what that looks like in the document. Awesome. So at this time, please turn to page 2 in your packet, where you're going to do a quick review on central message and on reliable source. So at this time, I want you to answer the question of what is the central message and how do we determine the central message of a text? And if you recall, there are 2 steps that you can take in order to determine a central message. So please pause this video and take a minute to answer this question. Fantastic. Welcome back. You should have taken a minute to answer the questions of what is the central message and how do we determine the central message. The central message is the most important message of a lesson. Excuse me. It is the most important message or lesson the author wants the reader to take away after reading a text. Okay? So most important message or lesson that the author wants the reader, which is you or myself, to take away from what they've read. How do we do that? The 2 steps are, number 1, finding the subject, and secondly, what is the author saying overall about that subject? And a clue that I've been giving to my students in my A block is when you're trying to find the subject, look for the word that pops up most often, right? So at the time last week, we read a passage on the religion humanism. And so I said, students, please go into this text and circle all the words that come up the most often. Students came back and said, Ms. Williams, we see humanist, we see human, we see humanism. And I said, okay, so fantastic. Step number 1 is finding the subject, right? What is the subject? Humanism. Fantastic. Secondly, what is the author saying overall about that subject? And in that particular passage, the author was talking about the religious views of a humanist as a whole. And so we were able to pull together a sentence, a statement of what that central message was of that text. Okay, and you're going to be doing the same thing in your Mini-QPA number 1 by looking at the sources that you are going to be collecting. Our second part of our review is looking at what is reliable sources. And again, I want you to take a minute and answer the question of what does it mean to have a reliable source? So please pause this video at this time and take a minute to answer that question. Okay, welcome back. So you should have had a moment to answer the question on your packet on page 2 of what does it mean to have a reliable source? Okay, you should have wrote something along the lines of a reliable source means to be trustworthy, real, and dependable. What does that mean if we really break that down? Trustworthy, you got to be able to trust what you're using, right? I know that I can't trust Wikipedia because anybody can go in and change the information and it may not be real information, which also means that it's more than likely not dependable. So therefore, I am not going to use Wikipedia. Where if I use a source from an accredited university, like Harvard University, or from UCLA, I can trust it, one, because I know that it comes from a good university. I know that it's real information because it's produced by that university and it's dependable as well. Fantastic. So we've just reviewed what is a central message, knowing that the 2 steps in order to determine a central message is 1, finding a subject, and 2, finding out what is the author saying overall about that subject. And our next portion is me really breaking down what is an annotated bibliography. And this is what you're going to be doing for your Mini-QPA. An annotated bibliography is a list of citations to books, articles, and documentations. It can be a variety, or you can pick and choose which one, right? And in this case, we're looking at articles offline. Each citation is followed by a brief, descriptive, and evaluative paragraph, which is known as the annotation. Lastly, the purpose of the annotation is to inform the reader of the relevance, accuracy, and quality of the sources cited. So this is exactly what you're going to be doing today. If you need a little bit more specifics, I'm going to pop right into the next slide, which shows exactly what you're going to be doing. So you students are going to be assembling a list of sources in a graphic organizer, which asks you to list each source, to summarize by determining the central message, and explain why it would be trusted as a reliable source. So not only are you doing these 3 things, you are also going to explain why is it so important that all research we conduct and share be based on reliable sources, okay? And so I'm going to show you the graphic organizer at this time so that you know exactly what your document will be looking like. So this is Mini-QPA number 1. It states exactly what I just said to you of what an annotated bibliography is. Part number 1 is you introducing your bibliography by answering the question thoroughly and completely of why is it so important that all research we conduct and share be based on reliable sources. So make sure you write it in complete sentences. And then part 2 is you assembling a list. So in this list, you are to number 1, list 3 to 4 sources. We have already provided 2 sources for you, and you can find those sources on Google Classroom, and it is titled Sources of Religions. And you will click on that, and you will see 2 links under each of the 5 world religions that we are focusing on. Make sure you click on the one that you are doing. So you can use 2 of those, but in addition to those 2, you need to find 1 to 2 more that you're going to put on this Mini-QPA, on your annotated bibliography. So 1, list your 3 to 4 sources. 2, you're going to state the central message of the source, and you're going to do that by writing a paragraph and answering the questions that are listed here. And number 3, in part 2, you're going to answer the question of why can this source be trusted as a reliable source, okay? So those are the 2 parts to your Mini-QPA. And on this last page, you are trying to aim for a 2, that you are able to choose a central message for your product or performance that connects to an important theme, idea, or issue in the world. So you want to get a 2, which is you meeting mastery, showing that you do understand the skill of pulling out a central message and choosing one, okay? So that is your QPA. And again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you're more than welcome to email me or email your specific teacher as well. And a few reminders. Class instruction will be posted on Mondays Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Okay, you'll get a instruction of a mini lesson, and you will have work to do with that mini lesson. Secondly, we will also be having live help sessions, and that will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. My specific help session will be from 9:30 to 9:50 a.m. Okay, because I'm A block, so I'm first. Okay, so if you have me and you would like to chat with me, that is the time that you want to log on and talk with me. I also have the times here listed for those who want to check in with their teachers, and that would be B block would be from 10 o'clock to 10:20, C block 10:30 to 10:50, D block 11 to 11:20. And as I've said before, you can always email me at cwilliams@phoenixcharteracademy.org. Next week, when we come back together for instruction, we'll be focusing on step 5 of the research process, which is note-taking, and what that looks like when doing research. So how to paraphrase information from a text and how to use direct quotes. So I look forward to seeing you all super soon. If you have any questions, again, email me, and also make sure you log in for help sessions with me at 9:30. Okay, I will talk to you soon, and make sure you all are taking care of yourselves. Bye.